Hey guys, welcome back to the Hallow'd Past. Now, this is the fourth episode of the series. If you haven't seen the other three, go ahead and press that little I in the top right corner and go check those out. Now that you've gone and seen the other videos, if you haven't done so already, if you have,
You love me. You really love me.
let's move forward. The year is 1994, and we have gone from 5 nights to 7. It's a whole week now. The nights were October 14th, 15th, 21st, 22nd, 29th, 30th, and 31st. Along with the addition of dates, we also had a change in the hours of operation. Instead of it being 6 to 12 or 6:30 to 12, the event would run 7 to 1. Good change. And then the pricing was about the same. It was $36 plus tax. Now, with the new year of Horror Nights, we have new things. For a perfect example, this is the first year we heard the term scare actor being used to describe the actors in the streets or the houses, basically the creature. To go along with also having scare actors now be a new term, we also had the first use of the term scare zone. Now, our first ever scare zone is Horrorwood. So within this scare zone, we had 3 groups of people basically interchanging. It would either be the Chainsaw Drill Team, the Lizzie Borden Band and Axe Corps, and then Monks and Hoods. Now, let's try to break down every single one of these real quick. You guys know the Chainsaw Drill Team. I mentioned them in the Fright Nights video, if I'm not mistaken. They're basically a Horror Nights staple now, and they've been at almost every single event. The Lizzie Borden Band and Corpse were a group of women dressed in 19th century clothing, playing instruments led by Lizzie Borden, along with the Axe Corps, which were dressed similarly to the women, but instead of instruments, they had axes. Then we also had Monks and Hoods, which were just pale monks in hoodie robes. Now, the scare zone was unlike anything else Universal's ever done in the past, as there were props themed to the scare zone, basically lining the streets of Hollywood. Oh, and if you didn't know, the scare zone Horrorwood was located in Hollywood. Play on words, pretty funny. Get it? No, I'm the only one laughing? Alright, cool. To go along with that scare zone, we also had 4 shows this year. So here's something you can probably get used to me saying for at least a big majority of these videos. We had the return of 2 time-traveling children. Kids, teens, you know them, you love them, Bill and Ted. But this time, it's not the exact same show we had the 2 prior years. We have Bill and Ted Meet Time Cop. This show was reportedly the first one to fully utilize pop culture icons instead of horror movie villains. This also was reportedly the first one to really increase the comedy aspect. Some pop culture references in the show included a fight between Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding, the Terminator appearing to save the day, and O.J. Simpson jokes. Along with Bill and Ted, we also had The Devil and His Showgirls. They were located in New York. The show featured Vegas showgirls dancing to various rock and roll songs. Along with that, we also had The Price is Fright, which was located at Animal Actors, which was a show hosted by Beetlejuice. That was basically The Price is Right, but with the BJ man. So it's probably hilarious. And finally, for shows, we had the return of Robosaurus. Now, we can't have Halloween Horror Nights without the haunted houses. This year, we took a step up from 3 to 4. So, let's just dive right into this. We had the return of 2 houses from HHN Past. So, let's just start with the Dungeon of Terror. Now, if you're wondering why we didn't have the Dungeon of Terror at HHN 1993, or HHN 3, or the 3rd annual Halloween Horror Nights, it's because the Jaws ride opened, which didn't allow for the dungeon to be located where it's been located the past 2 years prior to that. So, in 1994, they moved the Dungeon of Terror to the Earthquake queue. Now, the dungeon seemed to be mostly unchanged, pretty much the same that it was before. However, the Rat Lady was moved from the floor, and a new character called the Snake Master, a man holding 2 boa constrictors, appeared in the house. So basically you had the same exact house. Same exact dungeon, per se. Anyways, now the other house that returned this year was the Psychopath Maze, which is located same place behind the Bates Motel. Where else would it be? Basically, it was the same house that they had in 1993. It featured some of the most popular rooms from the same exact house they had prior, but they actually added like a graveyard scene and an attic scene. So enough about houses that we already had before. Let's take the step forward and go to the 2 houses that were brand new this year. We had, drumroll please, the Boneyard, which was located in, wait for it, the Boneyard. Now this house had 2 separate paths guests could take. Each one a totally different experience. Now, little to nothing is known about what happened on the 2 paths. However, it said that one of the 2 paths was an insane asylum that was recently evacuated, and the worst inmates were left behind. So, you know, cuckoo. Yeah. And then on the other path, from what I've found, it says that it was sci-fi themed, and it had mad scientists and clowns experimenting on various patients. Now, I really wish I could find more information on this house because it sounds really interesting. It's basically the first like dual run house where you can pick going towards this way or that way. And honestly, it has all my attention because that's something we don't see nowadays in Horror Nights. So, last but not least, let's move on to the final house of this year's event, which is Hell's Kitchen. No, we're not talking about Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich, Chef Ramsay.
We're talking about Halloween Horror Nights, Hell's Kitchen. This house was located over by Nosserman's. It would be very similar to the Slaughterhouse. Remember the house that I mentioned from 93? The last video? And the way that the theme was technically still cannibalism and the butchering of humans. It would basically take place in a cannibalistic butcher shop. It smelled like rotten meat and it was very hot. Some of the masks that the scare actors would be wearing would just literally melt off their face. So it would add effect, you know? Spooky. Also, this house would feature the Roach Man. Just felt like I wanted to throw that in there because that man's weird. Anyways, that is all the information I have from 1994. We have a big year coming up next week, though. 1995.
So hang on to your hats, kiddies.
I hope you guys are excited for it. So, talking about excited and hope you guys are doing well, I'm really excited for the month of March. So, in March, we're going to have the March Madness series coming back. Now, I'm going to give you guys the bracket right now so you guys can see it. This year is a Scare Zone theme. If you want to check out the one from last year, it is house themed, and you can go press the I. It'll be on that list. First video in that series should be coming out March 1st. You heard it here, March 1st. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. Alright, and since we're all here together at the end of this video, why don't you guys go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And while you're at it, comment down below Scare Actor, so we know you made it to the end of this one. Subscribe if you want more Horror Nights news and history. Share this around with your friends so we can get a whole little family of Horror Nights historians over here. And with all that being said, I'm going to end this how I always do. Stay excellent, my dudes.